I learned everything I could on YouTube to be able to do the build on my own. I feel like it's a controversial thing to have a bed that converts. Some think this is a pantry. It is not. I refuse to live my life scared. I'm not going to not do something because I'm scared of what the outcome might be. Hi, I'm Nicole and this is Lemon, and this is our tiny home on wheels. I love cooking. So one of the goals was to have a really big kitchen. I wanted a lot of counter space to be able to prep food, just be able to move back and forth. So that was a lot of the intention behind having so much counter space. And I don't like a lot of clutter, so there is a spot for everything in all of the drawers. One of the other parts of loving to cook, I knew, and I know it's kind of a luxury, but I love having the oven and stove combo. So I've got the 3-burner cooktop. I'm still experimenting with the RV oven because it's not as friendly as a home oven. I decided to go with a solid surface Corian countertop. I was able to find someone in my home city to have these installed. They also were able to do, with my sink, I have a cover, which helps with more prep space, so I didn't lose any of that counter space. Another component of a big kitchen is storage space. I knew I wanted to be off-grid for a couple weeks at a time, so that meant I needed to have enough food for that duration of time as well. So I have a lot of storage. And then one of the things that I love about my kitchen, and I wanted to utilize some of the dead space that's in the walls of the ProMaster, I did a recessed spice rack. So I put all of the common spices that I use on a regular basis when I'm cooking out on the front, so I have easy access there. And then I went with a full-sized refrigerator for the van to, again, I knew a lot of storage refrigerator items. And then I also have a small freezer. I do always have ice cream on hand, but I use it for proteins, chicken, beef, that kind of thing as well. So it's not all just ice cream. On this side of the kitchen, it's a pretty decent sized sink. And one of the things that I love is the lid. So when I'm driving, I can easily throw my dirty dishes in there and they're contained while I'm driving. Or if I don't feel like doing my dishes that day, as one person, I don't have a lot of dishes, so I'll wait. And it's also another way to conserve water. Underneath my sink, I have a hidden drawer here that holds my sponges for when I do the dishes. And then underneath there is all of my cleaning supplies and any extra storage for any backup items that I might have, toiletries or that kind of thing under there. I did build the van, I'd say 90% on my own. I didn't want to get super creative or crazy with the design because it is a full-time job, whether you're researching it, designing it, or working my job. So it's one of the reasons I went with the galley. I feel like it's a very simple design. It works for me. I like the openness of it. I know I have a shower, and that does close things off a little bit, but I feel like it's still relatively open with the design that I went with. I found van life on YouTube. I didn't know tiny living was such a huge movement. So when I found van life, I went down the rabbit hole and binged every YouTube video I could find and get my hands on. And it took me about a year before I actually found one that I loved and flew to Chicago to pick up a van I've never seen and never test drove. I was lucky enough to find my van on Facebook Marketplace, so I was able to secure it for $23,000. I didn't have to pay a lot of the extra fees that come with going through a dealership. The build itself was around $25,000. A good chunk of that was the electrical, and I did do my build during the lumber crisis. So I felt that pinch a little. So I spent a lot of time doing research on how to do the build before I could even get started on the actual build. I was very scared of working on the electrical part of it. So I kind of took my time in that area. Probably could have got it done a little bit quicker, but it took every bit of 13 months, and I've still continued to do van projects while I've been on the road. So it's not completely finished, but to the eye, it looks done. Next to my kitchen, some think this is a pantry. It is not. In addition to spices and cooking addiction that I have a clothing addiction I'm not proud of. I had to downsize substantially moving into the van, and it was a lot more difficult than I thought it would. But I feel like that's also a perk of van life, is it does force you to downsize a lot. And I find that I don't need half of what I own or even have in the van. So this is a full-length closet, and I do utilize every bit of the space in there, and I do wear the clothes that I have hung up in there. Next to the closet, I have what I consider a full-size shower for a van. I hate going to the bathroom in public, so I do utilize my toilet. And then we've got the shower head that comes off. And then I also added a toilet paper dispenser here to keep that enclosed. And similar to the kitchen with my spice rack, I did the recessed caddy here for my shampoo, conditioner, and other toiletry items. I have a 2.5 gallon water heater that is under one of the back benches. I take a shower pretty regularly. I hate going to bed dirty, so it does get used regularly. I have a 30 gallon water tank underneath the back bench as well. So starting out in van life, I was nervous about finding water, but it's relatively easy. So I do refill that quite a bit. So this back wall is real tile. In all of the research that I did, it's kind of a hit or miss. People kind of talk negatively about having real tile. I found in a moving vehicle, I don't want to jinx myself, but after 1.5 years, I haven't had any issues with it. On the sides and the ceiling, I didn't want to commit to full tile for the purpose of weight. I went with a faux tile on the sides, and that also has held up really well. For any solo female that wants to live this lifestyle, I think research your butt off. They say YouTube University for a reason. I learned everything I could on YouTube to be able to do the build on my own. So that was a huge component of it. I refuse to live my life scared. I'm not going to not do something because I'm scared of what the outcome might be. So whether it's going to a remote location or sleeping in a Cracker Barrel parking lot or just doing the build in and of itself, you always hear the regret thing, but the being scared, I think, is something that people stop living their life because they're scared of what might happen. So that's one of the things that I try to live my life by. I've definitely pushed myself past my comfort zone in a lot of areas because of that. So it's led to a lot of great things and meeting a lot of amazing people since I've been on the road. So this is my bedroom. I have a queen size bed. It is the U-shaped bench. So I did have to cut the mattress to make the benches, and then the backrest, the 2 pieces in the middle will go to the sides. I feel like it's a controversial thing to have a bed that converts, and I can admit I don't convert it all that much, but I don't think I would change it. I work remotely, so having the couch as an option instead of working from my bed on a regular basis is always nice. It doesn't take long to convert, that's not the problem, but to go from bed mode to couch mode, back to bed mode at the end of the night, if all you want to do is crawl into bed, can be a little discouraging. In terms of storage, the back 4 cabinets are more clothes. I am full-time, so it is 4 seasons. So that was an issue. I wanted to make sure that I had clothes for winter, spring, you know, all of the seasons. So I do kind of have them designated for that. And then I have more storage underneath the benches. Not a lot, because I do have my electrical components on the passenger side. My water storage, water heater is on the driver's side. So it doesn't leave that much extra storage. Or another component of the U-shape, on the very bottom and out the back, I have a drawer that pulls out from underneath that is dual purpose. It is more storage, and it's also, I utilize it as a picnic table, so I can sit outside and use it in whichever way I see fit. When I hit the road, I wanted to get back into fishing. I did it as a kid. I know, I feel like that's a weird thing, but I finally did secure one. I got one, and I didn't know where on earth I was going to put it. So I added some little hooks underneath, and my fishing rod sits perfectly within those hooks. In terms of my electrical system, I do have a 3000 watt inverter. I do have two 100 amp hour lithium batteries. I have two 90 watt solar panels. I have my alternator charger. So when I'm driving my van, I'm able to charge my batteries. And then the third option, I have shore power. One of the things that came out of the year of 2020, I built my business as a virtual assistant social media manager. So I'm able to work full-time remotely on the road and work from anywhere. If you want to follow along on all my van life adventures, you can find me on Instagram at Nicole's Travel Diaries. Thank you for checking out my van. Now I need to go take Lemon for a walk.